Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be talking to Ethan Beute, Chief Evangelist of BombBomb. Ethan, thank you for talking to me today.
Thanks so much for the invite. I appreciate it.
I'm really excited talking to you. I know you're a best-selling author, you're a content creator, a marketer, you have your own podcast, and a brand enthusiast. Can you share with us what you're working on and a little more about BombBomb and just a little more about you?
Sure. So my career is in two parts. First half was running marketing inside local television stations in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Chicago, and out here in Colorado Springs, where I am now. The second half is with a software company. When I started with BombBomb, we basically had no revenue and no customers, and built this movement that I think a lot of people will recognize today, but it is years in the making. This idea of video email and video messaging, this idea of replacing what would otherwise be faceless typed out text to make things more clear, to convey emotion and tone and nuance and sincerity and gratitude and all these things that tend to be missing from our emails, our text messages, our Slack messages, our social DMs, and all these other places where we're getting intellectual and pecking things into the keyboard instead of just talking to people. And so that's the path that I've been on. I've sent more than 15,000 video messages myself, wrote both of these books on these themes and topics of building human connection across the growing digital divide, and have wound up in an evangelist position because of that passion and depth of experience and commitment to the core ideas.
Great. Well, I'll share with you, I'm a fan of BombBomb. We work with a motivational speaker named Johnny Quinn. He's a U.S.
Love
Olympian.
Johnny.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you know Johnny. So every time we get a request for a motivational speaker, Johnny's my go-to, and then I'll share what the client wants, what's important to them, how they want to customize. I share it with him, and literally within a few minutes, he's like, Matt, send him this video. And he does this personalized message. We send it, and it really makes an impact. So obviously I believe in video, but I've seen it work firsthand very well.
Love it. And I'll just extend one idea about why that works among many. Johnny is his own best differentiator, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's only one Johnny on earth. When someone tells you you're one in a million, that's slightly insulting because there are billions of people on earth. Johnny, like you, like me, like anyone else listening or watching, is truly one of a kind. We are the differentiator in the product or service experience. So the more we can be present in that communication, getting face-to-face earlier and more often in the relationship is just a winning play.
Yeah. All right. I love that. I've got a lot of questions or I think to think about. I want to know more about your books, but I want to start with you as a chief evangelist.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a little bit more about that as a role and what that all entails?
Yeah, I fell into it slightly by accident. I interviewed 4 chief evangelists 4 years ago as just kind of a fun side project. Ended up writing it up, and my boss and my friend and our CMO at BombBomb, Steve Passanelli, read it and was like, "Hey, man, this is a cool project. Good job." So, like, there were companies like Amazon, Apple, and some other, great companies and great people that I interviewed for it. And he said, I think we need a chief evangelist. I think you should be that person. And some of the characteristics that I pulled out of those interviews, essentially a free agent inside the organization, someone who's early in and deeply understands the customer and the product itself and the way that it's brought to life. More importantly, the point of view and the purpose and the vision through which the product and the service experience is designed. For us, we believe that humans have intrinsic value, that dehumanized people should be rehumanized. And one of the ways that we can do that is by rehumanizing our digital communication. Stop treating people like numbers and stop being received as numbers, right? And so I had been writing, speaking, teaching these things. I had done a TEDx talk. I had done an Ignite talk, a bunch of stage presentations, webinars. I had written at the time 500 or so blog posts on, why this matters, best use cases, customer examples, success stories, et cetera. At some level, I was already evangelizing. And so just to give a couple more words to the role itself, not only will you find an evangelist who truly understands the market, the situation, the state of affairs, it's probably in an innovative space, either solving a problem people don't know they have. That's what we're doing at BombBomb. No one thinks about the consequences of entrusting their most important and valuable messages to faceless typed out text. So we need to create some awareness around that education. The more common form of innovation is solving a known problem in a new and different way, where we need to educate the market about why the current solutions don't fit the future that we're all going toward. And so this requires the work of evangelism. So it's not sales, it's not marketing, it's not product, it's not customer service or customer success. It's a little bit of all of those things. So I'm engaging with all of those teams and departments all the time. I'm engaging with prospects and customers in the broader community all of the time. And so there's kind of inside outside dynamic that creates some, it's just a better flow of information. So it's partly communication, it's partly marketing, it's partly sales, but it's also kind of none of those things.
Okay. It sounds exciting. A very utility role, working with so many different departments and things like that. You mentioned you're interviewing like Amazon and Apple, I know BombBomb, but is it mostly for large companies, would you say? I mean, what typical size of a company? No, okay.
It's not. It's really for, again, innovative companies.
Okay.
And companies that have a very clear point of view about the world. And so I actually ended up starting another podcast called Chief Evangelist, because people kept coming to me because of that blog post I wrote 4 years ago with questions about it. Should we implement this? How do we implement this? The question you just asked, people being recruited or assigned into the role. Like, what does this mean? I don't know what this means. So I finally started recording those conversations. And one of the people I interviewed is the chief evangelist for a technology that has not even been productized yet. So he's exploring and teaching use cases as they form a product around this core technology. And of course, then I just released an episode with a gentleman that works for a data analytics and AI company that has 4,000 employees. So it really is the characteristics of what unites a company and a market and a community that needs evangelism or would benefit from it really is more in this kind of education, awareness, light bulb moments. The market needs to be prepared to evaluate and even understand the product or service opportunity. And it's not a pure marketing play. It's not a pure sales play. You could advance both of those efforts and improve customer success by implementing some form of evangelism.
All right.
And typically an early stage founder, if they are outward facing at all, some are, less so, but they tend to perform an evangelistic type of role as well out of the gate. And at a certain point, you may assign it to someone else if either A, the founder doesn't have that personality or orientation or preference, or their role outgrows the opportunity to do that. It's the same thing with a sales role. The founder is oftentimes the very first salesperson as well, and they outgrow that at some point. You need to start hiring sales.
All right. Well, that's interesting because I do talk to a lot of CEOs and founders, and they talk about this, and they're still wrapping their arms around it. So that's really interesting. Also, I talk to a lot of like CROs or VP of sales, and some of them have been downsized or all the changes going on in the economy, and some of them are re-exploring what's next for them. And kind of like listening to you, they say, I've been involved with marketing and sales and leadership and all these things. So what advice do you have for somebody that would be interested in a chief evangelist if that was a path they were looking at?
Yeah, it's interesting. I would say it is going to be the longer path. I think the opportunity is going to emerge. It's not one that you're going to find. I think there are people, despite all the headwinds that we have macroeconomically, there are people still actively hiring CROs and VPs of sales and heads of marketing and heads of customer service and customer success. Almost no one is hiring a chief evangelist. One of the most consistent things I've learned by talking with chief evangelists and people in kind of just generally speaking, thought leadership type roles is that those roles are very bespoke. That's to say, someone meets you, they see in you something you may or may not see in yourself, this kind of evangelistic ability or fervor. You may have been a customer or a fan of the company or the product or the service, or even a competitor in the market. The market space, the product and the solution, the customers for these types of products. And so someone's going to say, oh my gosh, I need to introduce you to so-and-so, right? So another person, this episode hasn't released yet, but I interviewed a gentleman who got he's got a depth of experience in cybersecurity. There's a company looking for an evangelist for their cybersecurity company for about 1.5 years, and they just couldn't find someone with the unique skill set of depth of experience, communication skills, content creation, et cetera. So that's the exception, not the norm. Someone interested in exploring this, get your toes in the water now.
Yeah.
Start doing some of it. It's like salespeople that are kind of doing a form of maybe social selling off the side of their desk to generate their own opportunities. You're moving in a direction toward evangelism. That's on episode 2 of Chief Evangelist as a podcast. But it's going to be like a lot of the best roles. It's not one that's posted. No one is raising their hand saying, we're looking for a chief evangelist that fits these 8 criteria. Like it's going to work out is typically how these roles go.
Let me ask you this as well. I encourage CEOs to encourage all their employees to post more, like on LinkedIn, or be evangelists in some degrees. But obviously you have the expertise as an evangelist, but somebody who's not as much, but wants to get out there more, are there any do's or don'ts you generally recommend, or when it comes to talking about what they do with their company?
In general, I will be encouraging here, like you, I think more people should be doing it. I'll give you a specific reason why, and I might not answer your question directly, but for the sake of time, I think this is the first thing you triggered for me is your voice is not around the corner waiting to be found. Right? Like you need to develop it.
Yep.
Your point of view, the way you express yourself, the questions that you're asking, the way you structure your arguments, this all needs to be developed. And this is true whether you're typing it out, whether you're doing it in audio form, whether you're doing it in videos, whether you're doing it short form or long form. Your voice needs to be developed. And so if you feel like you want to explore this type of thing, just start doing it. Just start doing it, because it is through those repetitions. And I hate that it's cliche as heck to say this, but it's like working out or performing exercises related to some kind of sport or activity or pursuit. Is you develop the muscles that you want to be strong. And the only way to develop them is by using them. And so, your voice isn't just, you're not just going to wake up one day and be an amazing writer or have this perfect clarity about what's going on in your company, in your market, with your prospects, with your customers. This is something that you're going to learn through engagement, through conversation, through getting in the reps of writing, through trying to record some videos where you're communicating a core idea, these types of things. And so I just encourage people to do it, to move forward and to develop your voice, because it's not waiting to be found somewhere.
All right. Well, love that, and definitely aligned with all that. Let me ask you about your latest book, Human-Centered Communication. Can you share just a little more about the book and what's your most important messages? And because I know that's very relevant on who you are.
Yeah, thank you for that. The first book, Rehumanize Your Business, is kind of the what, why, who, when, and how of video, email, and video messaging. I just started writing it before I even had any idea how to bring a book to market. Human-centered communication, on the other hand, was my co-author's idea. But it was based around this shared idea of we have to sell and serve digitally, virtually, and online. These channels are noisier and more polluted than ever, and they're only going to get noisier and more polluted. This makes attention and trust, both of them, very difficult to get and build. We're going into this battle essentially with one arm and one leg tied behind our back, going in there with faceless typed out text in a place where humans on the other side need to feel connected. They need to feel trust. They need to understand. They need to feel seen and heard and valued. And a lot of the folks in our space, video, email, and video messaging, were really kind of selling, and people were buying competitive products really in a shallow and myopic way. And that's to say, essentially for prospecting as an attention-getting play. And I personally feel like that was kind of killing the movement, because everyone who receives an unsolicited prospecting video that's the same crappy list, same crappy targeting, same crappy message, is teaching people that this is the new way we do that same crappy thing, as opposed to video messaging being what it is at its highest, which is being for and about other people. When Johnny is recording those videos for a potential client, you're sharing with him what you know about that client and their needs, and he's communicating back to them that not only does he have a sense of knowing or wanting to know more about them and being able to serve them, but he actually intends within his full self to be of highest service and value. And so what we ended up doing was rounding up 11 different experts from a variety of backgrounds who we all knew had something to say about using video, not just video email, but even video calls, how to do a call like this more effectively. And so we open with the ideas of digital pollution and human-centered communication as a framework to break through, to get attention and build trust in noisy and polluted digital environments. And then we move through 11 chapters where we get the philosophy, strategies, and tactics of different practitioners what they're doing. And then toward the end, we make all the different people in chapters talk to each other from a strategic and from a tactical perspective. And then, as every business book must, you need to write a closing chapters. That's just a look to the future. Where frankly, it was published in October of 2021. I was writing it primarily through 2021. And here we are today. We open that chapter with a vision of a future in which seeing is no longer believing, where synthetic media and generative AI are creating video experiences that the human can't distinguish from a real human. That's still years away, in my opinion, based on some of the stuff I'm seeing today. But it's coming. And so there was a very, I feel pretty good, a year and a half removed from publication, over 2 years removed from a lot of the core writing, that it's already happened so quickly. And so these ideas of how are we of service and value to other people in a meaningful way that they can actually experience from us in a way that leaves an emotional resonance such that we're more likely to get a yes the next time we reach out, whether it's a yes on a 7-figure, 3-year DocuSign, or whether it's a yes, I'll return your phone call, or yes, I'll schedule the appointment, or yes, I'll make that personal introduction. That's the spirit of that book, is in light of all the challenges in front of us, and in light of the deep, persistent human need to feel seen, heard, and understood and connected to other people, how do we do that better?
Love it.
That's what we're doing there.
Well, I find what you're doing very exciting. I love the way you communicate, evangelize, and all the things that you're doing with BombBomb. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
Thank you so much. First of all, human-centered communication, it's 1 year anniversary. We made it completely free. We enhanced the digital version and made it free. It's at BombBomb.com/free book.
Okay.
It's just BombBomb.com/free book. My name is Ethan Beute. You can email me, Ethan, ETHAN @BombBomb.com. You can hit me up on LinkedIn. It's Ethan Beute, BEUTE. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to connect with anyone. And if this has been provocative for anyone, I make time on my calendar to talk about what some of these themes and ideas can look like in real life inside your organization.
Fantastic. Well, I'll make sure to put that in the comments, but I really appreciate you taking the time. I look forward to keep talking and collaborating with you, and I wish you the best, Ethan.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Appreciate you.